idea of what her presentation. Her presentation will discuss the current housing crisis in Utah County to raise awareness on this subject. By passing on knowledge of this suffering, her belief is that we can bring change to Utah County as a community. The purpose of this project is to give a voice to those that cannot be heard and to speak and to spark momentum that could change their lives for good. She believes that by raising awareness, we can bring the community with the resources and ideas collaborating to affect the change that we all want to see in the world. It is time to stop turning a blind eye to human suffering and death going on in our backyard and to stand up for what is right.
All right, so like you said, my name is Sarah. Just a brief introduction. I am a student at UVU in the DSW program right now. I'm graduating in April. My goal is to go into social work policy and hopefully affect some change in legislature dealing with social services. I am also a recovered alcoholic. I am a domestic violence survivor of domestic violence abuse. And it's taken a while for me to get here. And I came to Community Action with Banking Services in Provo in August, and I learned so much from there. I just started out working there and gained a lot of insight into resources and services in Utah County, where they're lacking and where the need is. And especially my heart went out to the homeless people of Utah County. And so that's kind of where this all started. The more I worked with this population, the more I really felt like there was just a need, there was a gap. And mostly just that I think that our community is something that can feel it needs to be, collaborate together and work together to bring more services to these people. I wanted something to be done, but I didn't really know what to do or who would do it, and then I realized maybe it was time for me to take a stab at trying to change a little bit. So my goal is just mainly to raise awareness, and hopefully you guys can go and spread the word and raise more awareness in your own systems and circles of family and friends. So, I just kind of wanted to go over some brief facts about homelessness and kind of take away some of the stereotypes that might be out there. So we start with that. So one myth that people allow to believe is that homeless people stay homeless for a really long time, and that's actually not true. Most homeless people are only homeless for a couple weeks or months. Most of them are able to get back on their feet after that. When we talk about chronic homelessness, that's when we talk about homelessness for longer periods of time. And those are the situations that we really focus on changing because they can be so, we can get stuck. Most homeless people are single men. That's also not true. It's about half and half. 46% of the total population is families, and then 40% are single men and 14% are single women. The homeless population is transient. They migrate from service to service and go to the states that have the best services. In Utah, 88% of Utah's homeless people lived here before they came here, so it's also not true. And another big trial I think homeless people face is that they like to blame them for the situations they're in. And there's so many numerous causes of homelessness. To just list a few of the victims of their circumstance, illnesses that they were hospitalized for a long time and they were in the hospital for so long they lost their housing, they had no family or no support, and then they get discharged from the hospital and they know where to go. And they're still, their health is a concern and they don't have, any support in place. Where do they go? They become homeless. A lot of situations, victims of trauma or abuse, domestic violence, There is a domestic violence shelter in Utah County for women and children, but not for men. And so if that's something that, single men or men and families are playing to them, they also have nowhere to go. And then there's also the aspect of mental illness. Mental illness that can be caused by substance abuse or just mental illness that hasn't had the right form of support in place, or there can be paranoia when it comes to mental illness where they don't want to receive services and they're afraid to receive services. Prefer to be sleeping on the streets than to be subjecting themselves to any kind of services they think that would cause harm. So. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. One judges a painting by the full view of the whole canvas. Separate isolated square inches are meaningless, yet we dare to judge our fellow man by single acts and words, misleading voices, and deceptive moments of special strength. From these, we magnify one mood into a character and one episode into a life. And the reason why I love this quote is because it really puts into perspective judgment. We at Community Action, we see people sometimes on their worst days. I can imagine having someone sitting across from me judging me for the days that I was not sober, and thinking that that was who I was, because I had some pretty rough times. And I look at these people and I know that they're going through the worst time of their life and they're experiencing crisis. And so I would hope that by looking at this, we can think, okay, someone's being maybe rude to me or yelling at me or could be even screaming at me and throwing things at me. But it's not because of me. It's not personal. It's because they are having the worst day of their life and they're desperate and they feel like they have no hope. I wanted to talk a little bit about Utah County and homelessness in Utah County. I think sometimes things that are present issues, especially here in north. And I put this picture here because I really saw the emotion in that sign. This man sitting here, the sign saying nothing but I used to be your neighbor. I used to live next door to you. We used to mow our lawns together. We used to talk over the fence together. There's whatever his circumstance was that led him to being there. He's still a human being. He's still a person. And he used to live right next door to you. And it could be ended that week. I wanted to share this video. It's about 5 minutes long.
You told us your movies would be $1.
It's a little comedy short. It's a Disney short. Oh, I think this one is
Far away in this cruel
a child. We don't think that it can affect a population that is so innocent. Sorry, I get so emotional. But we actually had a situation like this that unfortunately happened in the last month. For confidentiality and protect his family, I have changed his name and all his personal information, but I wanted to share his story. A 23-year-old boy named Alex, who had been working with Wasatch Mental Health for about 6 years, didn't want to accept any treatment. He didn't want help due to some severe mental illnesses. He was struggling with alcoholism and the addictions that go along with that. He was very disconnected from family and from support. He'd undergone a divorce that had led him to initially be homeless. And he had a daughter that was no longer in his life. All those circumstances that led him to be homeless, he felt like he was worthless. He felt like he didn't deserve help. He felt like he didn't deserve any love, any kindness. He felt like his circumstance was punishment for his past mistakes, and he was okay with that. And he wouldn't accept shelter. He wouldn't accept any food. He would panhandle to sometimes get enough money to get a hot meal. But I don't know if you remember how cold it's been this winter, but as I've been walking to class and as I've been walking from my home to my car and scraping the ice off my windshield, it's been something that has been ever present on my mind, that I'm experiencing these elements briefly because I have a coat and I have shelter and I have a car, so I can run my car and turn on my heat and not have to worry about being cold. And as I'm doing these things, I'm thinking about, what if I didn't have any of this stuff? What if I didn't have any family or support? What if when I was going through my addiction recovery that no one held out their hand to me, no one lifted me up, and no one wanted to see my success? What would I have done? And I was thinking about this boy, Alex is 23, he could have been a student here. He could have been doing many numerous things with his youth, but instead he was sitting under a bridge next to train tracks. Unfortunately, whatever circumstance led him to this night, whether it be his alcoholism, whether it be his forgetfulness related to his mental illness to bundle up, or whether it was just too cold, he passed away. And was found by Provo Police Department, who was not surrounded by family or friends or warmth. And this story, due to privacy, confidentiality, and respect for the family, has not been shared in the news. And that's their right to have that. But I wanted to tell you about it today because I think it's important for us to realize these things happen in our neighborhood, in our backyard, in our community. It could be anyone. It could be you that needs services, that needs help. So. I wanted to talk about what we can do as a community and what homelessness is not. Homelessness is not about ending poverty. It's not about ending substance abuse. It's not about ending mental illness, mental employment or fixing disability. It's not about healing and fixing people. There really is only one way to end homelessness, and it's kind of obvious. Housing. we need homes for these people. Shelter is the process, it's not a destination. We don't want people to be stuck in shelter. It's not a very good environment to be in, especially when you're facing addictions and you're battling and you're trying to get clean and you're trying to repair your life. And when you're faced with crises like this and trials like that, and you don't have a roof over your head, that's the first thing that you worry about. First thing that you're wondering is, am I going to have a warm place to stay tonight? Am I going to have something to keep you warm, and a sleeping bag or a jacket? One of the problems with Alex is that he was so passive that he needed to fight back, and so he was given warm coats and sleeping bags and things to keep him warm, but they were stolen from him on a regular basis. And because he didn't want to receive services and he didn't want shelter, he had no one else to go to if he lost his coat. We really want to take the initiative to not judge and to get people housed before they have to deal with facing their addictions. That's a whole other battle on their own. Before they have to face overcoming a mental illness or getting help with that. And so Utah County has been proactive in that, and we do have a new initiative called the Housing First that we are working on. The hardest thing we face with that is landlords and just the community being willing to accept Section 8 housing, lower income housing, and allowing people like this to experience these trials to be in their units. And I think that starts with raising the awareness that these people actually really need help, and raising the awareness in our community that these people are just like us. They're not, they just are a victim of their circumstance. So. We do have another initiative called Bridges Out of Poverty that we work at Community Action. And it coincides with another program called Circles. I was going to have a whiteboard, but we don't have one here. I kind of wanted to draw some diagrams related to that. But the main thing is, one of the biggest concepts in Bridges Out of Poverty is we're talking about socioeconomic class. And we're talking about what the concerns are for the wealthy class, and what are the concerns for the middle class, and what are the concerns for the lower class in poverty. And the difference is there. And I mean, when you think about it, people that are dealing with wealthy, or they're in the wealthy class, they're dealing with stocks and investments, and you take that and you compare that to people that are just worried about a roof over their head or feeding their children. It's a very, very different world. And you take into account the cultures that homelessness and poverty, people in homelessness and poverty experience. A lot of them, like Alex, don't feel worthy to have more. They're comfortable in their situation because reaching out and hoping and wishing for more just results in being turned down, and just results in more people judging you and turning you away. And who wants to deal with that? It's better to accept where you are than to deal with the constant battle and the constant emotional turmoil of being turned away and being told no, and not being accepted into programs or different policies and procedures that allow them to get assistance. So that's one of the biggest trials that it takes to overcome when dealing with clients like this, is because a lot of them don't want to hope. And our job, I think, as a community is to give that social support and hope. And say, you know what, even if I can't help you, I know someone that can. I know together we can make a difference. We can change this. I believe in social service, not social control. Social service starts with what is the need, and then it solves the problem. No questions asked. I I do believe it is important as a recovered alcoholic that people get the services they need, the support they need to overcome their different adversities. But I think the first thing is to not judge and to just really just focus on what their need is and do your best to solve it. The case management that we do, it's about empowerment. Through Bridges Out of Poverty and circles, like they go through classes and they're educated on what they can do to fix their situation and know that ultimately they are the solution to their own problems. But how do we get people to think about themselves? I remember when I felt helpless. I felt completely like, I have no power over this. I have no power over affecting change in myself, let alone anyone around me, or being better. I think it's really about having even just one person telling that you can do this, you can change, you can be the result of your success. And really that is the ultimate goal, is them believing in themselves enough to where they can change and to where they know that at the end of the road when they get there, that they're really the only ones to thank. And they did it, they did the work. And we want people to believe that about themselves. Not only that are homeless and that experience poverty, but everyone in this community should believe that about themselves, that they have the power to change themselves, their circumstance. If they're not happy, they're the result of their own happiness. And they can make a difference in their own lives. And in turn, make a difference in all the lives around them. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? How can we help? It starts with changing how you think. It starts changing your attitude. Even just last semester when I first started working in community action, I thought that, yeah, I've seen it and I want to see change, but I'm not the one that can affect change. I'm not the one that can do it. I believe that's the wrong way of thinking. I think that every day we should start knowing that this day can be different, that we can change not only our lives, but everyone else's lives around us. And I believe that we all experience trials. We all experience being judged. We all experience hardships in our lives. And I think that if we look at it as, I'm experiencing this hardship so I can become better, I can become a better person, so that I can help those that have experienced that around me, or that I can look at them in ways and no, I have not experienced homelessness. Whenever I was worried about that, when I was running away from domestic abuse, I had people that stepped up and supported me. And that's the thing, is I think that those people with those attitudes, that we can help you make a difference in, and I can't make you do anything that you don't want to do, but I can be here for you. I can be here, even if it's just to point you in the right direction to go. I wanted to introduce Darren Williams. He is an amazing guy. He's sitting in the back right here. I asked him to come today just to share a little bit of his story. And he used to be homeless, but he has taken the tenacity and overcome all of his trials and now works with the Lost Action Outreach Program. And so I'd like to invite him to come up and
well, thanks for having me out today. I was homeless for about 6 months, and it wasn't on the streets. I came out of jail and I didn't have a place to go, and I said, let's go camping for a minute. And I was really angry. I was going through a divorce and didn't want to face that, and missed the kids more than I missed her. And I was really angry. I was just angry at everybody, and I was angry at myself, angry, and really frustrated with how it's not fair. Life's not fair. But I was really like, this sucks, and how can I get over things? And I reached out to Voc Rehab, and they kind of were like, okay, how about we try community action? So I went to community action, and they're like, go to Wasatch. So it was kind of this, I didn't know where I would land, and so I ended up going to Wasatch, and they're like, this is the first time for me reaching out and saying, I care about who I am. And it took that whole 6 months to actually get into housing. Like Food and Care has a transitional housing for men and women, and they were just opening it up. And Ryan Perkins, he's a social worker for the Watch program. I worked with him on and off. I did some crazy stuff, like was in Payson Canyon where I would stand. I'd jump on the rails and get off before Springville. Anyways, crazy stuff. I was really angry and upset, and I worked through that with my, I called him my counselor, even though there was a counselor there. But anyways, I worked through my stuff. I worked through my relations. Trust me, it's crazy. And I don't have those things today. Making me crazy. So, and then I slowly got into housing and into a place. You know, and the thing is it's cold out there. I remember it just being cold, wet and cold. And today I work with the homeless, and I work on getting them clothed. I think that's a big, one of the bigger issues. It's not so much feeding them, it's clothing them, because it's cold out there, and I really work towards clothing them. Food and Care gives them 3 squares a day, except on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday. And Food and Care is great. You can donate food anytime till 6. I really have to give it out to Food and Care because they really helped me. I was in their transitional housing unit for 9 months, and then eventually got into a permanent solution for me. And that was through the CABI program through Wasatch Mental Health. And I have since got out and got my own place, and today I work with Wasatch Mental Health. But a lot of people ask me what's the best thing, and the best thing is if we can clothe them. We can feed them at Wasatch or at Food and Care, and but we can't always clothe them. And so, if I can say anything that would be donated, is like gloves, hats. If you can afford jackets, great. Sleeping bags are great. But those are the things that go the fastest. Is clothing. So, anyways, that's it. Short and sweet.
Thanks, Jerem. I love hearing that. I love that you brought up some of the challenges that you face that were related to homeless, like dealing with the being bipolar and the anger and just frustrations being in a situation. I love that you give us a little insight into that, because that's one of the big concerns that I have. A lot of these people that have mental illness, they don't have the medications that they need, and they don't have the right support in overcoming their trials and the anger and any number of issues. So I just wanted to take some time and offer it up for any comments or questions. We do have a whole table of resources back there next to the canopy. And Jared mentioned Food and Care Coalition. There's some information on that. There's some information about community action, a lot of the services that we provide. And there's a poster up there if you want to display it in any of the places that you work or with connections to United Way. And so.
I have one.
Yeah.
So I stepped out for a minute, and so you may have talked about this, but I had a two-part question. Is this like an issue or a situation that you are going to step into in regards to a career? Or is it just kind of like a side thing that you have interest in?
Yes and yes. My goal after I graduate here is to be a full-time mom for a little bit. That's my little girl back there. So I will have 2 little ones, so I got to focus on them. They luckily have accepted me into being their family, and that's my pride and joy. But after that, I am planning on going and getting the rest of my degree and then my master's. And then I do want to go into law and work in social work policy and legislature.
So I'm a sophomore in high school, and I'm wondering what I can do that can like help this community.
I think that's amazing that you are a sophomore in high school. You want to do that. That's awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you. That's so great. There's so much, and especially because I think that being in high school, I think that there are a lot of students there that could hear something like this, and they would have the opportunity to volunteer. Like Jeremy said, a lot of things we need is like donations and just to keep people warm. And that I think at a high school level, that would probably be the biggest thing that you could. But you can do it. You can do your own drive. You can do clothes drive. And if you need more resources, there's somewhere back there on how you can affect change.
You can donate your time at Food and Care. You can go into the kitchen and like all the time.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to mention is there's so many volunteer opportunities at community action, at Food and Care, with United Way, that you can get a group of your friends together and go to, and they all will be volunteers. We actually are pretty good on the food aspect of things, but sometimes we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough people. And so that's something that we're always in need for. Another thing that I'll just ask that question for anyone that's not in high school, if you have a landlord and you're renting, that is great and that is awesome, and you think that would be willing to go into Section 8 housing. Section 8 housing is just lower income settlement housing. So say the total rent is $700 and this person can only afford $400 a month. Section 8 is allowing that person to pay $400. And then United Way actually has the connections with the money to supplement that. So the landlord doesn't lose out on any money. They just have to be willing to accept that the person's going to be paying $400, and then the other $300 in that rent becomes community action or any of the other agencies in the area. So if you see that with your landlords, I mean, some people have difficult landlords, and we definitely know how that is being a community action. If you see that would be something that would be awesome. So.
How are you?
Good. I'm great.
Not my question.
Oh,
what motivates you specifically to work with this community rather than so many other different communities out there?
I think that's a great question. I think that there's so much need in not only the state, but in this nation, in the world, that it's overwhelming to think, I want to change the world, I want to fix the world, I want to save the world. Like, I think everyone does, especially social workers do. That's like their number one thing they want to do. Yeah, so I think you start in the community, start where you are. Start in your own home, start in your own classroom, there's need everywhere. And so I think it's just, start small, make it simple. And that's where I was like, you know what, if I have more I can chew, I feel like it's the world, so you start where you are. That's basically because I'm here. And I see the need because I'm here and I see it in my face.
So I'm going into nursing.
Yeah.
What kind of needs are there as far as like healthcare, like what kind of role can that play? Like, Tuesday?
So Food and Care actually has some great services there where they offer free care for homeless and in addition to counseling and services like that. And so if you're motivated to, once you get your nursing degree, you can work in an agency like that, or there's plenty of agencies that need people that do that. And I don't know, nursing is a great career choice. I think that's awesome that you can do that because there's people that need healthcare everywhere. So, any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming, guys. Thanks for listening to me. And